On this Garlic Marketing Show, we're going to talk about how Kelly lands 3 leads a week with a Fortune 50 in the Fortune 50 vertical with some of the hardest leads possible. We're going to talk about how she tweaked one campaign to make it rock exactly what she did in LinkedIn. The best messaging style for LinkedIn outbound in her experience, the biggest mistakes that she's learned over 30 years of doing this, the importance of the social selling index in your outreach and how to improve it, how she grew one security company's social selling index really quickly and started landing them big leads in a very small market. The winning metrics of her secret sauce campaign, the problem with AI, and why you should not try to get as many leads as possible. And we're going to talk how to actually hit the easy button for LinkedIn. All this on the Garlic Marketing Show. Kelly, say hi.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here.
And of course, one of the best things you can do for your LinkedIn outreach, for your online reputation, and to just connect with more clients is have amazing client stories. But you got to find the right ones. We'll help you find those $1 million case stories. If you go to videocasestory.com/finder, we'll have you collect, craft, and deliver them. All right, let's get started.
My name is Gino Wickman. I was introduced to Ian, and that's what brought me into this video world and got me embracing this video world. And Ian did exactly what I hoped. He got me really comfortable with putting videos out to the world and having a great strategy around putting videos out to the world, because there's so much more than just shooting a video. And so the way that he positions those videos, optimizes those videos, he's done a great job.
All right. If you all get super excited, like in the middle of this, and you're like, I need to talk to Kelly, we'll put a link to her last name's Atwater, Atwater, and she's on LinkedIn. We'll put a LinkedIn in the show notes, so you can just message her right on LinkedIn, and then she can make you $1 million next week. So Kelly, I want to talk about what's working, what's not, but just let's get a little bit of your background. How long have you been doing sales development and outbound?
So I'm going to age myself here, but I've been doing it for close to 30 years. So yeah.
Wow.
I've done it for quite a long time and made my mistakes and learned from them. And yeah, try to perfect that over the past 25, 30 years almost.
That always interests me because, I mean, that's where we learn, right? Is mistakes. That's what makes us better.
Right.
And the faster you fail, the better you get at something. So 30 years of mistakes. That's what I always, I get up on stage and I'm like, I've been coaching agencies and doing this stuff for 20 years. I've made all the mistakes sometimes 3 times, right? But
that's how we learn.
Yeah, that's how we learn. That's how you find out what really works. Because anyone can say, this is what you should do. But if you haven't figured out that because there's a lot of things that seem like it should work, right?
Yes.
And like cold emailing 10,000 people a day seems like it should work, but it doesn't, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So when you look at the big mistakes you made and you really learn from, what would you say is the top 1 or 2?
The biggest mistakes, I think, is selling too soon. You really have to build that relationship and that trust and credibility with that person, because there's so much noise out on LinkedIn now, AI saturation, where you have to differentiate yourself. That's huge because, like I told you, there's 1,000 people that do what I do. And I have learned from mistakes on, trying to make it very, I guess, generic. So for everyone, but you really can't do that. You really have to take the extra step and like look at their LinkedIn profile, make it a real conversation to earn that trust and credibility. Like, oh, this person actually has done some homework on me. And I think a lot of big mistakes that companies or lead gen companies make, and I hate the lead gen because I do so much more than that. But
yeah,
they'll reach out to you on LinkedIn and, you connect and you immediately get 2 paragraphs about how great I am and here's what I can do. And I think I could speak for almost everyone on LinkedIn. That's so annoying, right? I get that. And I typically will respond to them with, your approach is horrible. Your messaging is not great. And then I block them.
Yeah, and it's that's why people get irritated with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you fix that.
So I think by fixing that, you just have to really understand that this is more of a long-term goal. It might take a little bit longer in the beginning to establish those relationships, but I want my clients to come off as real people, not robots. So, within I will send out the maximum amount of requests that I can per day on their ICP, the roles that they're going after. I've got safety measures within my software that tells me exactly how many messages I can send out, exactly how many um, people that I can connect with according to their SSI score, social selling index on LinkedIn. And you have to just craft your messaging as a real person. Like, I don't respond. I'll say thanks for connecting, but I don't do that until probably a day and a half, 2 days after we connect. Wait a few days and then look at their profile and see what commonalities you have, or something that makes you know that this person actually did their research. And i've
Yeah.
i've actually gotten job offers from um, I'll meet with them and they're like, I don't want to hire you, no, I don't want to hire your company. I want you to come work for me because I've never seen messaging like this. And so I typically don't
Yeah,
take.
and
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing, like, because everyone wants to rush, rush, rush,
Right.
and relationships, it's like, right? It's like asking someone on a date and then meet and like, hey, are we getting married?
Yeah.
Right? Or or just
Exactly.
like even talking to someone right away and asking them to
Yeah.
get married. And when you craft that mess, I want to get into how you craft those messages, and then why it's more than lead gen. But when you talk to me a little bit about the social selling index and what that means to your outreach.
So, depending on how many connections that you have and how active you are on LinkedIn. So, LinkedIn, is kind of a game. The more active you are, the more likes and posts you make, the higher your SSI score is going to go up. So, I have taken on clients that have 100 connections. I've taken on clients that have 30,000 connections. So, it's just, you know, the more you have, the more active you are on LinkedIn, the higher that is, and it's just going to be better for the campaign long run, because it does take a little bit of time in the beginning. That if you're a startup and you're an engineer and you have 100 connections, yes, I can still help you, but it's going to take a little bit more time because maybe I'm only allowed to send out 10 requests instead of 50.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And how do you go about improving that social selling index?
You have to just stay on top of it. I've got an automated platform that does the whole outreach campaign. So LinkedIn, email, phone, SMS,
Mm,
video. But if you only have so many connections, we have to build that up over time. So I took on a company that I knew was going to be challenging. He does unarmed security guard, and he only wants to target one state. There's only so many people I can go after, right? Unarmed security guard
yeah.
in Alabama. I'm like, oh my gosh, like everybody carries a gun in Alabama. So just kidding, but the target might be a little hard, but after time, he's been here with me for about 3 months, and we've already grown that by, I think I just checked it yesterday, by 52%. So it just grows and grows. And we're refining his ICP. He didn't know who his ICP was in the beginning. I'm constantly, keeping up with messaging, doing A/B testing. So on every LinkedIn campaign, I can do 4 campaigns on one person's LinkedIn. So if he wants to target, like, say for instance, we're doing like commercial industrial buildings, hospitals, so I can craft the message differently and run different campaigns on his different ICP. So over time, something like him, it's just going to take a bit longer.
Yeah.
Than
And let's talk about some of your other success stories. So you were telling me about before the show about someone that's been landing like Fortune 50 companies, Fortune 500 companies through LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So he's been with me for about a year now, maybe a little over a year. So we just work well. Like I know exactly who he wants to talk to. He's a very busy man and doesn't have a lot of time for meetings, only unless they're like quality. So I'll actually go an extra step and vet those people for him before I even put them on his calendar. And a lot of my clients want me to send, the LinkedIn profile. If we don't know if this is going to be a good fit, I'll send it to them real quick. Hey, what do you think about this guy? They give me their feedback and I'll schedule that way. But yeah, just in the last week, we've scheduled 3 meetings for him with Fortune 500 companies. So pretty ecstatic about that. But I also tell him to, we want to keep the pipeline full, right? That's the main
Yeah.
goal. So I like to say, start off with all three. We want to go after the big wells, but they take longer. So you're going to have to put, some smaller companies in there just to keep everything running and just more opportunities. But we're at the point
And
I've had so many follow-ups over the past year that they're all kind of like falling at once, but which is a great thing.
and that's, I mean, I think that's the important part. Like the bigger the lead, and the bigger the potential client, like the longer it generally takes, doesn't it?
Yeah. So whatever their price point and the bigger the company, like he's going after CHROs. That's the hardest vertical to get into because they're overwhelmed by LinkedIn messages. So how do you differentiate yourself? He actually has a podcast as well. So I went a different route. I just, about 2 months ago, I said, how about we tweak this a bit and promote your podcast instead, which is having huge results. And so we're actually getting in front of these people that we probably never would have by just going in and trying to sell them something. So we're always looking at different ways to, get meetings set with the right vertical or right. I,
And like with that messaging, and like obviously there's a posting characteristic to it, but how do you blend posting and outreach and messaging? You said SMS and email. Obviously, you're surrounding these people.
right.
How are you doing that without pissing them off?
Well, I do. I spread it out. So first, a lot of my clients, they opt out of SMS, they opt out of video. They just want to do the basics like, email, LinkedIn, or email, LinkedIn, and phone. So everyone's different. I can tailor, whatever strategy that they want to do. We can absolutely tailor, and I'll kind of guide them through the way like what works the best. But I try not to piss people off, and that's why I try to go at it as more of like a networking, um, helpful way. Like, hey, I want to get to know you. Love to hear about what you're doing. See if there's room for collaboration. That works best historically. We can go, some of my clients, like I'll write 3 different messages for them, like a really aggressive one, kind of a moderate one, and then more of one that I know historically works best. So they always go with the aggressive, which is fine. I run that campaign, and then I do one that I've been doing forever that I know works. And after a month, I'll show them like the acceptance rate, the reply rate against mine, and mine's always triple. So we just tweak. We'll tweak it here and there, but normally when you're going at it as more of a networking, their guard is they don't have that guard of like, oh my god, this person is selling me something. you know
Yeah.
we start with just conversations, like build that trust before there's any sales pitch at all. I don't even go into more of a sales pitch until like message 3 or 4, and it's not really even a pitch. It's just, hey, here's what I do. If you find that you would love, have an interest in meeting, I'd love to meet you. But
I
constantly
love it.
doing that testing. Yeah. And also the AI, a lot of companies or lead gen companies will, you can get a lot more done, right? And if you use AI, which we don't use, once that campaign, if somebody responds to that campaign, that's when I take over. I don't use AI at all. I'll look at the message, look at their LinkedIn, try to find a commonality there and craft my message accordingly. Does it take longer? Yeah, but my clients get quality meetings. Instead of me, we don't go based on how many meetings per month, we go by revenue generated from the meetings. So definitely,
That's amazing.
yeah.
And I want, because I think of so few, especially founder-led salespeople or founder-led sales businesses or with small teams, way overestimate the value of having a ton of leads and way underestimate the value of having just two or three super quality leads.
Right. And I do have people that maybe they've never been in sales or they don't understand the process, but if you're looking to come to me and say, Kelly, I want 20 leads per month, we're probably not a good fit. If you come to me and like, hey, I'm growth focused, long term, here's what I want to do, it's going to take a little bit, longer of time. But I had my latest client that I signed up. He didn't believe in LinkedIn messaging. He's like, I've been doing this for years. I can't get messages or I can't get meetings set off of LinkedIn. So I'm like, okay, well, let's give it a try. So scheduled 8 quality meetings for him the first month. 2 of them closed. I got him scheduled on a podcast. So he's a believer now. So he knows that it works, but it's also about the messaging. You just have to stand out. You can't be generic or robotic because, the AI world is it's saturated and
It is. It's saturated, and I think that's important. Is thinking about how to zig with the AI zag, right? And when you talk about 8 quality meetings, what industry was that in? If you don't mind me asking.
So that's a good question. This one I was a little hesitant to take on because it was construction. And
Mm,
a lot of construction people aren't on LinkedIn.
yeah.
So we just targeted, I found out there was a lot more than I expected on LinkedIn, but we were targeting, the CEOs, presidents, founders. Um, and it's amazing. I said we could work together for 10 years and not go through these leads. There's so many. But
Wow.
yeah.
Um, and when you're doing this, if you're coaching someone, if you said, "Hey, this is what you need to do this on your own," what would you say were the top 3 things that they need to learn to do?
So the top three things, if you're going to do this on your own, reach out to as many connections as you can per day, the maximum on your ICP. Write some good messaging. Start off, don't send an immediate message right when when you get a connection request. I would more than likely they're going to connect if there's no message there. I wouldn't put a message there and then wait a few days before you even send a message at all. Something very short and sweet, like, hey, thanks for connecting, and then go from there. But it's a lot of time. I mean, especially like founder led companies. That's why they hire me because this is what I do. It's plug and play. And they literally don't have to do anything. All I need is Sales Navigator, a calendar link, and they just show up for the meetings.
So you're the easy button for LinkedIn leads.
Yes, I'm the easy button.
But you said, I think this important thing, it's like you're not lead gen. What? Explain that to me.
So, I mean, there is a component that's lead gen, but more, I think I'm more of a long term, like a fractional, I get, well, not even fractional, but a sales development rep where, you don't have to hire, train, pay benefits for someone. Literally, I can learn everything about the business going through an onboarding process, um, you know, defining who your ICP is, what role you're targeting. If there's a certain geographical region that you want to be in, go through there, pull out the pull list. We enrich our list through about 10 different data sources. So to make sure that's the right contact that we're going after, right email, phone number, and kind of go from there. But yeah, I'm the easy button.
I love it. I love it. And um, you mentioned like you're kind of like an SDR, a sales development representative. We were talking about before the problem with most SDRs on LinkedIn, and talk to me a little about that because it's like I think most people think that oh, I can just get an SDR to go run LinkedIn for me, or I'm going to hire two or three, at $10 an hour. What is the problem with that?
Well, they probably don't have the software to run, so they're doing it all manually. So when I set you up on a campaign, we set up, where we're going after all of your ICPs maximum per day. It's going to take someone several hours a day to do this, where, my software does it instantaneously. And like I said, once somebody responds, that's when I take over. But it is a lot of work. But yes, you can do it yourself if you dedicate probably 3 or 4 hours a day, because then you're going to have to send messages to all the people that you connected with, make follow up notes on who responded, unless you have some type of, you know, even putting it into your CRM, that takes a lot of time too. I can push, we integrate with HubSpot. We integrate with almost every CRM out there, along with email. So it's just an easy process. But yeah, you can do it yourself. But also, I've got 30 years experience in sales. And, if you go hire an SDR for $10 an hour,
Yeah,
especially if you go
it's
offshore, where everything is onshore, there's no language barriers there. I've got a lot of my competitors that do that. They'll use offshore, and you read some of these messages and it's like horrendous. I'm like, it's embarrassing to even read them. They're
yeah,
so bad.
and it affects the relationship, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Or
I
it
mean,
kills it.
you lose all credibility in my mind. So anything that I write, I always run it by my client before I send anything out. Not so much the responses, but the outreach in the beginning. That's all.
And what do you think is the future of LinkedIn and all this?
Hmm. So that's a great question. I think that sales, I don't believe that AI is going to take over sales roles, because no, nothing's going to take place as a real human being. Like, nobody wants to talk to a robot. And I mean, I can tell when it's AI. I don't know if you can, but most people can tell when it's AI. And
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't want to do business with a robot. So if I have someone genuinely have an interest in my business and wanting to help grow, like, I love helping people grow and being a part of that. Like, I take, that's really fulfilling to me to see companies like scale. But yeah, I mean, you just have to be authentic. The bottom line, just be authentic, be real. And I think it pays off in the long run.
100%. About building those relationships and experience. Well, this has been fantastic. Kelly Atwater, thank you so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show. We'll put a link to all this, your LinkedIn and all of your stuff on here. Thanks again for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks you so much for having me. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
And thank you all for making Kelly and I part of your story. This has been On Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.